Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. I have a very interesting episode for you today. Remember, I spoke to you on Saturday, and told you that we are going to actually figure out the mood of Bihar before the polls. Now, there is this new software, there is this new technology which was designed by a gentleman called Rajesh Jain. And if you remember, Rajesh Jain was a gentleman who was with us a month back. I think I had done an interview with him. He was the same gentleman who had helped Narendra Modi's campaign in 2014. Now, this gentleman has designed this artificial intelligence which basically gives you figures defining the mood of the state. So that's what we are going to talk to him today. So we are going to do this in two parts. Today we will basically understand the direction in which Bihar is going, and next week, Monday, we will analyze the direction in which Bihar is going. So let's get right into the show. Rajesh, welcome back. Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining me. Rajesh, first of all, what is artificial intelligence and how is it being used in polls nowadays?
Thank you very much, Sujit, for having me here. So AI, artificial intelligence, is essentially used when you have a lot of data and you want to be able to get patterns from data and then be able to make predictions going forward. So what artificial intelligence is very good at is processing large amounts of data and then creating recommendations, what you see on, say, websites when you browse, or predictions about what is likely to happen based on the past. Now, if you consider in the area of elections, there's a lot of data that's of course available that we can take from, say, Form 20, which is booth-wise data, from surveys, of course, which is there. And then what AI can actually do is help make some recommendations of some predictions on what you can expect in the future.
Does AI work collecting a lot of data, as in a lot of patterns, and then putting it all together and then analyzing a data? Is that how it works?
Yeah, what AI actually does is it needs the data as input. So it needs a lot of data, it learns. So essentially it's what it says, artificial intelligence. It is learning, you are right, it recognizes patterns. And then when it looks at similar patterns, then it can make predictions on what the likely outcomes are going to be.
So tell me about Prashnam now, Rajesh. What did Prashnam do and how did you go about this entire Bihar polls?
Yeah. So Prashnam is an AI-powered feedback engine. So what we are doing is essentially looking at how we can transform the area of surveys, opinions, and feedback, essentially. So what Google did for search, what Google did was basically a democratized search. You didn't have to go and essentially be able to get an answer. Prashnam is doing the same thing, or wants to do the same thing, for feedback and opinions. You have a question in your mind, you should be able to record it on Prashnam's app or website, fire it off, and in a few hours, get a sense of what people are thinking. It's like magic.
Oh, so I can just ask any question to Prashnam and it answers me. Is it how it works?
Yeah. So what Prashnam will actually do is that when you ask a question, and right now you'll have to give multiple choices, maybe 3 or 4 choices, up to 2 questions. It basically identifies a randomized sample of the population, to whom it makes calls. It makes phone calls, automated phone calls. If you have recorded the question, it will be in your voice. It asks them the question, gives them the choices, picks up their answer, and then collates all of it and gives it back to you. Now, the very important thing here is the sampling process. Okay, because if you want surveys to be really effective, what we need is to ensure that the process is randomized, so you can have small numbers. You can 1,000 people are actually good enough to give you a representative sample of the population, whether it is 5 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 5 crores, 50 crores. 1,000 people actually gives you a very, very good representation of what people are thinking. And that's what happens in the US. You see it all the time in the US elections. And they are surveying 950 people, 1,000 people to basically give you an idea of whether Trump is leading or Biden is leading or what people feel on different issues. And that's what we are saying needs to come to India. Prashnam is doing exactly that.
Why is artificial intelligence good at collating such kind of information with such small data? Why can't we do it otherwise?
So the AI part comes in two areas in Prashnam. The first is in selection of the sample to ensure that it is kept absolutely randomized and is representative of the population. It's not just about calling any 1,000 people. We need to mirror the population that is there. So age, gender, location, all of that has to be done. The second place where we are going to use AI, which will be rolled out soon, is essentially in the responses. Like I said earlier, the responses right now have to be multiple choices. So you have to lay out your 3 or 4 choices. But what if you wanted open-ended questions to ask people? Like, who do you want the next chief minister of Bihar to be? Instead of giving them 2 or 3 or 4 options, what if you just ask people to speak their mind? So you will get all sorts of responses. Then we use an AI engine to essentially cluster those responses, figure out what people have said, and then tell you this is what people are thinking. So it can be now used for pretty much anything. Which is the most popular brand of biscuits that people are using? So answers which basically can be got in 1 or 2 words can now be processed with an AI engine. So essentially we are taking speech and converting it into text and giving you the answers.
Specifically now what we are saying is the answers, the questions that we are talking about, or the analysis that we are talking about, my apologies, the analysis that we are talking about purely comes from these 3,000 odd respondent that you've asked these questions to, or does it come from these 3,000 respondent and other random clusters?
No. So what we do is in Prashnam, like I said, it's a do-it-yourself engine. You can pick the sample that you want. And let me explain a little bit about sampling. I think because this is a question that is very important to understand. The big question really people ask is how can a sample of just 1,000 people give you the collective opinions of what maybe 5 crore, 10 crore people are thinking? And that is the beauty of sampling. So as long as those 1,000 people are randomly chosen and represent the population, this is the beauty of how science works, of sampling works. They will give you a very accurate assessment to within what is called 95% confidence level and 3% margin of error. So it does not matter, like I said earlier, your population could be 1 lakh, could be 10 crore. If you survey 1,000 people, 95% confidence and 3% margin of error. And if you take that number up to 2,000, you can actually get that number up to 99% confidence.
Correct.
And just 3% error margin. So what we are saying is that the results, like if you get something which is 65% in favor of a specific question option, then the 3% margin of error basically says that it could be between 62 and 68. Okay, that's the margin of error that is there. And it just requires a small sample of people to give you a view of what people are thinking. Now just think about it. A lot of decisions are being made today by politicians, by business people, without really understanding how people are thinking. For the first time, in a matter of minutes or an hour or so, you get a real sense, you get a window into the world. It's like earlier you had to go to the library and dig up a lot of books to get answers before Google came along. Now you ask the question, you get an answer. So, but Google is telling you primarily about facts. Okay, what's out there? What we are giving you is a glimpse into how people are thinking. This is the game changer.
You spoke about who will you vote for? Who will people vote for in Bihar elections?
Yeah, so we had done 2 surveys, 2 months apart. The first one was on August 2nd, where we asked the question, who will you vote for? And the answers we got were from 3,000 registered voters, and they were covering the entire, all the assembly constituencies. 46% said BJP JDU alliance, 23% said RJD INC, 30% were undecided. So the point to note is the difference between the JDU BJP alliance and RJD was 23%.
Correct.
And then we repeated the survey 2 months later, 1st of October. And there, that difference had shrunk from 23% to 10%. So 38-28 versus 46-23. Undecideds were slightly higher. And this time we got a sample of almost 3,500 voters across BR's almost all assembly constituencies in BR. And what's very interesting, I'll just add one thing here in Prashnam, is that when you actually run the survey, you can also validate, you can verify that people have really answered what they said. So we give people 10 random phone numbers and let you call them, and which we actually do after every survey to make sure that people have got the right sort of response and so on. So the important point to note here is that over 2 months, the lead that the JDU BJP had has halved from 23% to 10%.
Correct.
And by the way, the October 1st survey, we just thought about it, we fired it off, and we had the answers within 1 hour. I mean, this is incredible. If you can imagine, in the earlier, in the current version, many people, many survey agencies have to train people. They have to go and call up and meet people in person. The cost is like much higher, social distancing times, very difficult to actually do these kinds of surveys. Here, stratified sample selected by our AI engine, questions fired off, within an hour, you have your answer.
While we say that, what we can't say in an AI kind of situation is why is that a 46% JDU BJP has shrunk to 38%. The reason cannot be narrated, can it, through an AI process?
No.
Yeah. So if you, Sorry.
If you want to get the reason, maybe we'll have to do a second survey or a follow-on survey where we'll have to probably give 3 or 4 options and ask people how they've shifted their opinion, etc. So everything really depends on the question. But remember one thing, this is on a phone. This is an automated incoming call that is coming to people. So typically they will answer 1 or 2 questions. You can't really push them beyond that. You can't have very open-ended or very longish questions and answers.
So what is interesting very clearly here is from August to October, things have changed. Things have gone down for the JDU BJP, and things have gone up for the RJD INC, though it is not still clearly JDU BJP is leading, and even the number of undecided voters have gone up. So somewhere down the line, currently it looks like JDU and BJP has lost some of their voters, and also a lot of people are still undecided. So that is what comes through with this particular survey. Now let's go to the next question, Rajesh, and the next question, interesting one, would be who would be the next, who would they like to see as the next chief minister? Let's start talking that.
So we had done 2 surveys out here. Then the first question, we had a head-to-head matchup between Tejasvi Yadav and Nitish Kumar, and the third option was that either they are undecided or it will be someone else. And 39% said Tejasvi Yadav, 36% chose Nitish Kumar. So while Tejasvi Yadav is slightly ahead, it's really within the margin of error. So effectively, you can say it's a dead heat. And if I take sort of that further, basically for an incumbent CM, that perhaps may not be very good news that he's in a dead heat with a newcomer.
While JDU and BJP is leading, but Nitish Kumar is falling. What logic is that? Somehow looks very strange.
Yeah, see, in surveys, the answer you get is always linked, of course, with the question that we are asking. So one important point to remember is that unlike, say, in the US presidential elections where people are voting for an individual, here the vote is not really for the chief minister candidate, it is for the party. But we were just curious, and that is how Prashnam really works. If you have a curiosity, you can just run the question and ask, and that's what the numbers show. It is a little bit of a surprise, of course, which is there, but And that is why we also had a second parallel survey where we said, what if it was both of them, and with Sushil Modi also in the fray, what would the answer be? Would people's answers change substantially? And in this case also, we saw that while Sushil Modi has about 12%, Tejasvi Yadav and Nitish Kumar essentially are in the same ballpark, with Tejasvi Yadav slightly ahead, 35 to 31. So if you think about it, if I were to just interpret the two results based on data, a lot of the people, about half the people who chose Sushil Modi, or again, these are not the same people. So these are two different surveys, two different sample sets, but again, very representative. About 6% or a few percent of the people who chose Sushil Modi, they are not really, the Sushil Modi vote entirely is not shifting to Nitish Kumar. That's the way I would interpret it actually.
Correct. And they are different samples, you say?
Yes, there were two different samples. So the two surveys were run at about 1 day apart. So it was not the same question to the same set of people.
But
it doesn't matter.
Sure. Then can we conclude? I understand this is not about analysis, but then can we conclude that both the surveys has one thing in common, and that is Tejasvi Yadav leading the hot favorite. So is that something that we can conclude here? Because if there are two different sample size.
Yeah, so the conclusion, of course, is very straightforward, that Tejasvi Yadav is slightly ahead of Nitish Kumar, whether it's a two-way match or a three-way match.
Correct.
But there is, of course, a large undecided percentage. And this was done before the Bihar Chief Minister, the Who Will You Vote For in Bihar survey. And some of these numbers sort of are giving you the trend lines really in what is how people are going to vote for and so on. But there is probably the common thread in this may be that there is some concern perhaps about Nitish Kumar's leadership. That is the only sort of big takeaway which I would put it, given that he is an incumbent chief minister.
Perfect. So the Nitish Kumar, there is some concern which was not there last time. This time there is definitely some concern about Nitish Kumar, and that also could be the anti-incumbency that he must be going through in this particular election. Correct. Okay, let's go further. Who is actually voting for Tejasvi Yadav? Who is voting for Nitish Kumar, and who is voting for others?
So in effect, what we've done here is the male-female split, because we have that information on the people who answer. And what we find here is that really both in among males and females, Tejasvi Yadav is slightly ahead of Nitish Kumar. So the key takeaway from this is that the support for Tejasvi Yadav over Nitish Kumar, I mean, effectively it's like somewhat of a dead heat, like I said earlier, if you take the margin of error. But it does show a consistent slight lead for Tejasvi Yadav across male and female.
So that's as far as male-female is concerned. Let's talk about the age.
Age is where it gets interesting.
Yes.
Really what is happening is, if you see, Nitish Kumar's support increases as the voters get older. In the 60 plus age group is the only age group where Nitish Kumar is seen as ahead of Tejasvi Yadav. In the other ones, 18 to 40 and 40 to 60, Tejasvi Yadav is ahead of Nitish Kumar.
Correct.
Among the age split.
Correct. Who is voting for BJP per se? Do we have any reports on that? BJP, JDU, do you have any split on that?
No, we haven't done that, but presumably those are reports that we can get. So effectively, the way we do it is that the data that we can basically get is with respect to age, gender, and location of the support base. And then we have to do the further derivatives of that. Location basically is more urban or rural. But what we do is we run it across all constituencies. The challenge becomes that at lower levels, like if you want to say, okay, in specific regions or districts, it becomes very hard to analyze because the sample size then has to be 1,000 in that particular unit where you want to do the analysis. And that would then dramatically increase the sample size. So right now we have just done an indicative survey across the whole state. which gives a directional trend, and we hope to do that again in maybe another few weeks to get a clearer picture closer to the election.
That'll be fabulous, and that'll be fabulous. We would love to kind of see that and see where it is going. So long and short of it, Rajesh, if I can conclude this, long and short of it is while BJP is leading, BJP RJD is BJP JDU is leading 38% versus 28% RJD INC and 34% undecided. That is as of 2nd of October. They were 46% versus 23% versus 31% undecided as of 1st of August. So definitely the losers were JDU BJP from 46% to 38%. But ironically, what is most interesting thing about, I think, this research is Tejasvi Yadav seems to be leading. Tejasvi Yadav seems to be the hot favorite instead of Nitish Kumar. Nitish Kumar seems to be trailing as far as popularity is concerned versus Tejasvi Yadav. Possibly that is because of the anti-incumbency, but the fact remains that Tejasvi Yadav seems to be going ahead, and this too in two separate research research that you did, both the research Tejasvi Yadav was found leading as far as the popularity is concerned. So that's the interesting thing coming from Bihar. Now the last question I want to ask you, Rajesh, before we go to the next topic is, tell me how much of Sushant Singh Rajput has affected the Bihar polls, the Bihar temperament?
Okay, so we had done this about a month or so ago. And what was very interesting was that 80% of the voters in Bihar, 81%, have heard of Sushant Singh Rajput. Now, that's probably not surprising given the wall-to-wall media coverage that has been there. And then the second question, we asked the people who had said, yes, they have heard of Sushant Singh Rajput. 55% felt it was not a relevant election issue. So 45% thought it was relevant as an election issue, 55% felt it was not.
So 45% is a fairly large figure. 45% of the 83%.
Of the 81%, yes.
81%, my apologies. 43%, 45% of the 81% felt that it was relevant, which is quite okay, which is quite a large number.
About a third of the voter base, of the third of the base in Bihar.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. When was this conducted, Rajesh? Was this the 1st August one or the 2nd October one?
No, this was done in, I think it was early September.
Early September. It will be very interesting to note what is the current trend. Is Sushant Singh still going to make a difference in the poll or not? That will be very interesting to note, isn't it?
Yeah, so the good news is that no one has to wait for us to conduct a survey. Sujit, you can carry out a survey yourself using the Prashna map right away.
Oh yes, I would love to come to your office and do this. This is.
You can do it from your phone itself. Very easy to do. I will show you how to do it, and it's open to anyone.
Okay.
That is what Prashnam is democratizing. Any person sitting anywhere can get the app. Of course, there's a cost associated with it, but it's very reasonable compared to a physical survey. You think of a question, get an answer in a few hours.
So that was Rajesh Jain and his software Prashnam. He told us what direction is Bihar going. Now, next week, let's figure out the analysis. Let's figure out a couple of questions. First question that I want to know is who is voting for JDU and JDU BJP and who is voting for RJD and INC. A little more detail. Why are they voting for RJD and INC and why are people voting for BJP? Who has BJP lost? Remember that 8%, 9% fall that BJP JDU is seeing? Let's figure out who are those 8% of people who have switched sides. Also, I would like to find out as to why is 24 to 60 hooting for Tejasvi Yadav. Tejasvi Yadav has never been a chief minister before. He doesn't have a major credentials. So why is the youth, I can understand, he's a young guy himself, but why is 24 to 60 hooting for him? This would be a very interesting question to find out. And finally, how much of the migrant workers has affected this entire election? These are the three things we will talk about next Monday, same time. Till we see you next time. Namaskar.